Welcome to the Dome Discussions Podcast. Your top source for all things New Orleans Saints. Powered by four voices who live and breathe black and gold. Touchdown! Every hit, every play.
Welcome to the NFL.
Every moment. We've got it covered.
Let's go! Let's go! Go!
What's going on, Who Dat Nation? Appreciate everybody tuning in to the Dome Discussions Podcast, part of Being the No Network. I'm Kyle Besson with Canal Street Chronicles.
I'm Caleb Yacarino with Canal Street Chronicles.
I'm Drew Collings with Who Dat Dish.
And unfortunately, Nick couldn't join us today. Hopefully, there's a chance maybe he joins us a little bit later in the pod, but no promises on that. But a lot of big news going on for our sole episode of this week. We're definitely going to get into Spencer Rattler being named the starting quarterback. But before we get into that, we just want to kind of brief over some of the moves the Saints have made in the waiver wire and things like that. So Saints claimed wide receiver Trey Palmer from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, former LSU Tiger wide receiver, and Broncos offensive lineman Xavier Truss. And the Saints also traded a 2028 sixth for Cowboys offensive lineman Asim Richards and a 7th round pick in 2028. Just a couple moves that they needed to beef up some places that we for sure know they needed help with. Do you guys have any opinions on these moves, or do these do anything for you?
Yeah, starting with Trey Palmer, I think that it was, a great move to bring him in. This wide receiver room is a lot stronger than it was before the Devon Vele trade. I think we could feel a lot more comfortable going into the season. Spencer Rattler has a lot of weapons to throw to, and I think that it's also the end of the line for Cedric Wilson in New Orleans. I can see that as a corresponding move that he gets released because I think Trey Palmer is a good 4th to 5th wide receiver on a team. His rookie year, he had almost 400 yards as the 3rd wide receiver. Last year, it was definitely more down, but he could contribute no matter what. He gave the Saints fits when we played them. I think he scored 2 touchdowns last season in both games, respective 1-1. But I think it was a great idea to bring him in. And with Xavier Truss and the trade the Saints made with the Cowboys, it's fixing the offensive line depth. It's been destroyed since the start of preseason with injuries. Saints didn't give up much, got 2 high potential offensive linemen that could potentially become great backups and even starters in a pinch.
I'm going to go on the Trey Palmer one. I completely agree with, first off, what you said about the 2 offensive linemen. That was so needed. Our depth was absolutely demolished after the preseason. I don't even think we had a backup tackle on the roster at a certain point. So those 2 moves were just needed. But onto the Trey Palmer, I got some of the stats. In his career, he's played in 32 games, 557 yards and 4 touchdowns. Last year was a little bit of a down year, but still 12 receptions, 172 yards and a touchdown. Biggest thing he brings is speed. Ever since coming out, 6th round pick from Nebraska, roll skurs. But in the combine, he ran a 4.33 40-yard dash. This guy can fly. What else do the Saints need other than more speed? They got Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, Brandon Cooks, Trey Palmer. No defensive back room is keeping up with them. Pairing that with Devon Vele as a big-bodied receiver, I went from being very concerned about this receiver room a couple weeks ago to honestly being a big fan of it now. I think that this will benefit the quarterbacks a lot, and I'm excited to see what it does this year.
And I think the Saints wide receiver room is where you look at, and they probably have a pretty low floor. To be honest, there's probably going to be times where it's like no one's getting open, problems like that. But they also have a really high ceiling. It's a lot of young guys who, like you said, can take the top off of defense, really speedy, and they're all young. Vele's in the 2nd year, maybe not young, but he's still young and developing. So all young, developing guys that can, become something bigger with the Saints. And as for you said with the offensive line, 100% you were right. The Saints had no backup tackles outside of no backup tackles at all. There is no backup tackles. They needed to make the move. I know some people were upset because the Saints made a trade for anything. It's a pick swap in 2028. We're not going to be worried about that anytime soon. So it was just a move that needed to be done. You got to build onto this team for Spencer Rattler to take over. And because one tackle goes down and now you're scraping the bottom of the barrel for another one. But speaking of Spencer Rattler, he has been named the starting quarterback by Kellen Moore. It was on Tuesday, a little surprising because it came a few hours after he said he's not going to name it that day. Named Spencer Rattler the quarterback. And I actually like to start off with this one just because I think I was mostly been the one on the podcast going over and being like, I think Rattler to start is the move. To me, it's just the Saints offense is very new. Alvin Kamara has never played with Kellen Moore. The whole offensive line, this is their first time playing with Kellen Moore. None of these guys have played in a Kellen Moore scheme. Before you go out there and throw Tyler Shuck, who, you saw he struggles with the pass rush sometimes. Before you throw him out on the field, you need these guys to get this fleshed out. And so you put Spencer Rattler, who looked more calm during the preseason. He was more poised, comfortable in the pocket. You put him into the pocket and let him play. Now, if he continues to win, by all means, keep him out there. That's the positive here, is you're going to find a quarterback, I hope, eventually. And if it's not Spencer Rattler, you hope and you see it with Tyler Shuck. But if Spencer Rattler's winning under this offense and in this scheme, then you keep him out. He's starts to lose mid-season, but Alvin Kamara is getting this offense. The offensive line's in this offense. Then you put Tyler Shuck in there under an offense and personnel that understands what Kellen Moore is trying to do now.
Yeah, I was definitely, I might be wrong, but I think I was the Tyler Shuck guy pushing that as much. I mean, I still think Tyler Shuck won the battle in the end, but taking a step back, I was never against Spencer Rattler. Like, I always knew that because I never wanted the Saints to draft a quarterback to begin with last draft. I wanted them to just go with Spencer Rattler and see what you have. Now, I have mentioned this little plan in my head that actually has kind of happened, that the Saints are really in a 2-year plan, and they really confirmed that with the start of Spencer Rattler. All of their bases are covered now. You start Spencer Rattler. If he does well and he's your franchise quarterback and you feel good about him, that's amazing. You just got a franchise quarterback in the 5th round of the 2024 draft. There you go. If he doesn't, you go to your rookie quarterback. He gets some of the year, maybe most of the season, but you don't expect much from him. So next season, you have Tyler Shuck as the starter, and you have him have this the next whole offseason to progress, develop as the starting quarterback, and that's going to be your guy in 2026. Same thing with Rattler. If he does really well and he proves to be the starter, great. You have your franchise guy on a rookie contract. If he doesn't, the 2027 draft is the next option. And let me tell you about the 2027 draft. We don't know if Arch Manning and Lenore Sellers, two top quarterbacks of this next college football season, are going to declare for this next draft. They could very well go to the 2027 draft. But the best part about the 2027 draft is it's already quarterback strong. So if you're already adding those two players to a strong quarterback class, that could be a truly generational class, and it's something that scouts are already looking at. So if Spencer Rattler doesn't work out, or if he does, you have your franchise quarterback. If he doesn't, you go to Tyler Shuck. If Tyler Shuck works out, you get your franchise quarterback. If he doesn't, you go to the 2027 draft with a top pick, and you draft your future quarterback. It's a perfect plan.
I love what you were saying there. Not to harp too much on the 2027 draft, because we could go on and on about this. But even besides the one you said, Fernando Mendoza, he could come back. Dante Moore, he could come back. You're going to have players like Dylan Raiola, people like that who can go out. That draft class has a chance to be electric, just amazing. But going back to actual Saints right now, I think that it was the right move to start Rattler. I've been kind of in the middle. Kyle was on Spencer Rattler's, Caleb was on Tyler Shuck's. I feel like I've kind of varied, which side I was on. But I do believe this was the right move. Give the guy with a little bit more NFL experience the current start. Then if he fails, go to Tyler Shuck. See what you have in the rookie. I fully believe Tyler Shuck is their long-term plan at quarterback, and I think he will start halfway through the season. I hope Spencer Rattler proves me wrong. I hope he goes out there, balls out, gets some Saints wins, and retains the starting job. But I don't know if I see that happening right now. So for the short term, I love this move. I like Kellen Moore's process through it. It came very late, but I do like how there was a close battle the whole time, and I'm happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, and one thing for me is that you guys talked about the 2027 draft. It could come earlier for the Saints as well. If Spencer Rattler is struggling and you put Tyler Shuck out there and he's struggling too, and you're picking first, second, third overall, which is a possibility, the quarterback conversation could be answered there. I know there's rumors that Arch Manning and the Manning family are like trying to get Manning to the Saints. I don't know how much I believe that. But that's another thing where, if the Saints are bad enough, then if that is true, Manning could declare, try to get on with the Saints. But to me, I do want to just focus on the development part, because developing a quarterback is a lost art nowadays. For me, one of the biggest things that I've been on really upset at Rattler, and just think Rattler can't develop because he's in his second year. I really don't truly understand it. Rattler is younger than Tyler Shuck, or at the same age, one of the two. They're right there in age if he's not younger. He can develop just as much as Tyler Shuck can, and that's kind of been one of people's talking points: is start Tyler Shuck, let him develop. Spencer Rattler could be a quarterback of the future. Just need to develop him. You need to develop both of these guys, and that's why the coaching staff, which is very quarterback friendly, a bunch of former quarterbacks, offensive coaches, offensive gurus, you bring them in here to develop these quarterbacks, try to get them where they're at. Kellen Moore has worked with some pretty impressive quarterbacks in his career. I think only impressive quarterbacks now is Dak Prescott, Justin Herbert, and Jalen Hurts. So he's been at the top with these quarterbacks. Justin Herbert's doing pretty well. Dak Prescott had his best seasons with them, and Jalen Hurts just won a Super Bowl. So to me, Spencer Rattler's in a really good situation, and Tyler Shuck's going to get the chance to develop as well. Tyler Shuck doesn't have any playing time, and I don't think the best way to give him that experience is throw him on the field. I think it's getting him prepared in practice, getting him ready, because I think we're all expecting it for Tyler Shuck to come in eventually. And maybe that's a little rude to Spencer Rattler to say that. We're all expecting Shuck to go in there eventually, but I think it's an obvious. I mean, to cover for an injury, there's plenty of things that can happen. I mean, let's be honest, playing behind a banged up O-line already that did struggle last year. Injury is also a possibility. But either way, both of these guys are being developed, and I think by the end of the year, you kind of have an answer on who you think can develop and continue to develop and be your franchise quarterback, or not at all.
Yeah, and Spencer Rattler's. You go.
Yeah. Okay.
Spencer Rattler's definitely. Oh, I knew that was gonna happen.
Yeah, you got it.
Spencer Rattler's definitely also prone to kind of put his body on the line to get extra yards. So to say that I know we've been, and you just talked about it, Kyle. I know we've been kind of saying like, oh, he'll come. Tyler Shuck will come in because Spencer Rattler's play might not be as good. Like there's a real chance that Spencer Rattler does just get injured. I mean, he puts his body on the line. He's not the biggest guy. So that's just also a factor that has to be in consideration. I do just think that, like, I agree with you where people are forgetting that quarterbacks can still develop how far into their career. I mean, look at Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's career was done, over, and then JJ McCarthy gets injured, and then you just see what Sam Darnold can do in a good offense with some development. Like, things change. So I think that there's space for Spencer Rattler to develop, and people saying that, oh, Tyler Shuck's too old to develop is the dumbest thing ever. There's a reason he was in college for so long, and it's because he didn't even play a lot of snaps in college. He wasn't playing full years until he was this age of just college games. No, he played like, I don't know how many games he played, but not a lot compared to how much he could have. So there's development with both quarterbacks. There needs to be patience with both quarterbacks. Obviously, a little less patience with Rattler because it is his second year, but there's going to be some patience. I doubt Rattler gets taken out before like week 5, but like that week 6, 7 mark is definitely something to watch.
Yeah, didn't you, man? He did that on purpose for sure. Hey, you go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. I don't even think it's as much as fans saying Spencer Rattler can't develop. I think it's more that they're just so eager to see Tyler Shuck. A lot of them were so pissed off at the Saints using a second-round pick for Tyler Shuck, who, if you go early, like in March, he wasn't even considered a day 2 pick. You never even heard it until really the Senior Bowl, Combine, all that. So I think fans just were caught off guard with it, and they're just eager to see what it is. So that's why they wanted him to start. But as we were saying earlier, I think it is the right move, and I'm happy that they didn't listen to the coaching staff. You have Scott Tolzien, you have Kellen Moore, you have Doug Nussmeier, all people who have played the quarterback in college, successfully in the NFL, or successfully in college and in the NFL too, but not as much. But I think they're going to really help aid the development of each of the quarterbacks, and I'm excited to see what they do and if one of them can have a breakout season.
Yeah, and for me, Kellen Moore kind of gained my respect with this decision because I do feel like there was a little bit of an expectation that before Rattler started playing well at the beginning of training camp, where that's when we really started thinking like, oh, he could start. We all kind of thought, hey, Kellen Moore's going to go with his guy. He just drafted a guy. Spencer Rattler was on the last coaching staff. Like, this is a easy situation to happen. But like, no, Kellen Moore made the decision that he saw the better quarterback at the time. Like, and that's kind of one of those things. I've already liked everything Kellen Moore has done, but there was kind of something just like it was unexpected for me. And I was like, okay, I could respect that.
And we got to remember that Shuck's agent didn't put a tweet out that says, I like the plan right after this was announced as well. Again, I don't think this is a plan thing. I think there's an idea in this Saints coaching staff that you're going to get Shuck a little more ready before you put him out there, because no one's expecting the Saints to win very much and stuff like that. So maybe you let Rattler go out there and play, and then, if you're not winning, you put Shuck in. And that's kind of what we've been saying, but even his agent went out, put out a tweet, said, I like the plan. So maybe there's a plan. Sorry we cut out on you guys, but Nick was actually able to join us. So before, I don't remember what I was saying, to be honest, but Nick's going to be able to go ahead and talk about the quarterback battle and what he sees with Spencer Rattler starting.
Yeah, this is kind of what I've been hinting at all offseason long. It felt like it was trending in this direction from the start. Kellen Moore pointed to the consistency in Spencer Rattler, which really was my main thing in this quarterback battle as a whole. It was going to be who is more consistent, who showed that they can go out there and do the same thing on the field every time. And Spencer Rattler did that. Tyler Shuck obviously had the higher highs, but to me, he had the lower lows with the pressure issues, But Kellen Moore pointed to Spencer Rattler's ability to use his legs as well, which I thought was something that Spencer Rattler really improved on this offseason. You saw him work on it a lot this offseason, so it's good to see it translate to the game. And something else that I thought really stood out about the quarterback battle is Kellen Moore saying that this is not going to be a conversation throughout the entire season. Spencer Rattler is the quarterback of this football team, and Tyler Shuck will continue to develop. Tyler Shuck's agent was actually on board with the decision, posted on social media that he liked the move. So I completely agree with the decision. I think that this is exactly what needed to happen. Also, because as a rookie head coach, Kellen Moore, you want to pick the quarterback that you believe is going to give you the best chance to win in week one. And I think that's clearly Spencer Rattler. So that's kind of my thoughts on the quarterback battle. I do believe Tyler Shuck will get his chance to start, and I do believe it'll also be this year. So I wouldn't harp on it too much, Shuck. I know he said he was disappointed, but I think this is exactly what needed to happen, and I think it's the way it was trending throughout the offseason.
Yeah, and you kind of hit on I'll go ahead and then I'll get you. Yeah, you kind of hit on a lot of things that we said, include the agent part where his agent kind of put out that there may be a plan set, which I mentioned. Like, there's clearly the Saints didn't tell Spencer Rattler, all right, we're going to give you 6 weeks, and after that, we're throwing Shuck out there. But we kind of talked over, if Rattler's balling out, Rattler's balling out in 6 weeks, then you're gonna keep him out there and let him play. But if Tyler Shuck is if Spencer Rattler's not playing too well, then and the offense is clicking more, then you go ahead and put Shuck out there and let him take over the offense.
Yeah, and I was just going to talk about Kellen Moore real quick because it kind of started to feel like, going off of what you said, Nick, about him saying like this is not a conversation during the season. Kind of felt like he started to get a little bit of annoyed about kept getting asked about the quarterback situation. Which, hey, I would be so annoyed if just every day I would have to come to work and I'm asked the same question over and over again, and I physically can't answer because I know I have to wait to answer. I might have the answer, but I'm not allowed to say it. So you keep having to say, and you keep having to avoiding the question, and it just doesn't work. So I agree. I don't think people are going to ask him a lot until it becomes like, hey, Spencer Rattler's not playing well. That's when those questions will start.
Yeah, and I said this a little bit earlier, but I still think about the fact that just a few hours before Rattler was named quarterback, Kellen Moore was at a preview press conference. I can't even think of the word right now. He media availability, and he said they're gonna wait to name. Still going through film, and then a couple hours later we get Rattler at quarterback. I'm just hoping for the best for the team and the development of the players, because I said earlier, developing a quarterback is a lost art in this league. I don't think either of these guys are too old or not able to develop. I think both of these guys could be franchise quarterbacks, and they can both develop into it. But going into it now with the trivia, we're gonna go to trivia because that is a lot of quarterback talk. I think I'm not even gonna give hints. I'm gonna just talk over trivia. Nick, if you get it in 3 seconds, just hold it this time, right? Because it's the only trivia we got. So if you get it real quick, just hold it. So this is a Panther. So you started a career with the Panthers, Saints, Bills, Ravens, Bears, Bills.
Ravens, Bears, Bills.
Ravens, Bears, and then back to the Bills. Started his career with the Panthers, went to the Saints, the Bills, the Ravens, the Bears, and then again.
Oh, I think Nick has it.
I have a guess.
Do you want to go ahead and throw out the position? Then I'll.
Is it a linebacker?
It is a linebacker.
I
yes.
know who it is. I know who it is.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Well,
Do you guys want the years? I'll give you guys years if you guys want it. But you got position now. Kind of think about that. I'll give you guys a hint. Think about that Panthers to Saints. It's really where.
I have a name in my head, but I forget his name. Like I have the player in my head, but
I'll give the years. Maybe that helps a little bit. So he was with the Panthers from 2013 to 2016, 2017 to 2019 with the Saints, 2020 to 2021 with the Bills, 2022 with the Ravens, 2022 with the Bears, and then 2022 to 2023 with the Bills. So he was on 3 teams in 2022. I didn't even know he played in 2023.
I have it in my head, but I forget his name.
it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I could be wrong.
Whoa. Let me get my guess out the way first. I won't let
I'll write it down. I'll write mine
down. Okay. So yeah, you could write it down. We need to get the whiteboards. That'd be a great idea. We do a little countdown and then everybody.
I'm so mad because I know who it is.
I'm still not 100% on this. But
oh, you're not? All right, let's
no,
see.
there is one thing that is making me think of this player, but I did want to wait. Is it AJ Klein?
It is. Yeah, it's AJ Klein.
Okay.
That's his name.
I had that too. I don't know if you can see that.
I knew it. I visualized him.
I will take that. I'll take the second place there.
I pulled up their roster earlier, the Saints just rosters, and I was like, AJ Klein's name I haven't heard in a little bit.
I didn't know he played for the Panthers. I just got it from the Bills.
It was the Saints.
That's what I remember.
The Bills or the Panther Saints Bills that got it.
Yeah, the Panthers Saints. I didn't know anything about Ravens, Bears, or Bills afterwards.
Yeah, that was.
I knew
the
the
first
Ravens or Bears. I just knew the Bills. Yeah.
Right, but yeah, he spent 3 years, or he was on 3 teams in 2022, so he must have gotten cut a lot. Speaking about surprise cuts, how was that transition, guys? All right, speaking of surprise cuts, yeah, so the Saints had to cut down their roster from 90 players to 53, and there comes a lot of hard decisions with that. There's really promising talent, a lot of veterans, and things like that. And with that being said, who are some guys that you guys think were hard cuts for the Saints to make?
Personally, 2 guys that I think that were difficult cuts. One is already back on the practice squad. The first one being the one that did not return to the practice squad, was actually claimed on waivers, and DeMarco Jackson. He's been a really prominent special teams player for the Saints the past couple of seasons. Had a pretty decent preseason as well. Obviously, the Saints linebacker room is really crowded right now, which isn't something we thought we'd be saying. But look, with the development of guys like Isaiah Stallbert, who did make the team, Jalen Ford, who also made the team, you got Danny Stutzman, who you spent a 4th-round pick on in this draft. And then also you've got Pete Werner and Demario Davis. So that's 5 guys in the linebacker room already. It was already crowded. And Nephi Sewell also didn't make it, but I wouldn't say that was a surprise cut just based on his preseason performance. But DeMarco Jackson is a guy, he was already claimed by Dennis Allen and the Bears, one of Dennis Allen's guys. That was a guy that I really wanted back on the practice squad. I expected him to make the roster. But another guy that I thought was a surprise to be released. I knew it was a possibility, but didn't think it would actually happen, was the obvious Jake Haener. We saw that the Saints decided to keep 2 guys on their initial 53-man roster. Jake Haener was released, and the initial report was that he was looking for a fresh start elsewhere. He did end up signing back with the Saints practice squad about an hour ago, but Doug Nussmeier said, and you could already tell that it wasn't any bad blood between the Saints and Haener. Doug Nussmeier, as soon as the move happened, said that Jake's a really good player, that there's just a lot of stuff happening right now in the league, and that's part of the business. I initially thought that maybe Hayner would want to go check out a new destination just based on the fact that he would be the clear-cut backup at multiple other spots. But look, he decided to come back. I thought the Saints also would look into Easton Stick, who was released by the Falcons. He ended up signing back with Atlanta. We know the Saints don't really care about a veteran quarterback. They've said it multiple times that they're okay with who they've got in the building. Kellen Moore actually recently touched on it last week, saying that they feel great about the group. But Easton Stick is a guy who spent time with Kellen Moore in Los Angeles. The Saints had interest in him earlier this offseason, and he was released earlier yesterday, so it would have made sense. But he's back in Atlanta, and the Saints brought back Jake Hayner to the practice squad. But those are two guys that I was surprised were waived and released.
Yeah, and I kind of want to talk on or touch on the Jake Hayner because to me, it confuses me a little bit that Jake Hayner was released. Again, I agree with you. I always thought it was a possibility, and I also agree that I thought he would have, after being released, honestly, thought he would have, been like, screw you guys, let me get out of here. But he did come back in the practice squad. But he was always considered in the quarterback competition, no matter how much we believe that. Kellen Moore has continuously said that, and I believe Jake Hayner when he said Kellen Moore wouldn't say that to make him feel better, to not hurt his feelings, right? This is a business. He has no reason to continue to include him in the quarterback battle if he's not in it. So I'm a little confused on why you drop him, risk of losing him if it's somebody you considered possible starter for your team going forwards. Again, I know we didn't believe it was a possibility, but Kellen Moore has continuously said that, and I think it's interesting that he's still – they released him.
Yeah, and that was why I was so shocked when the tweet got released that he was released, because I didn't expect that to happen. I just thought, oh, he's going to be on the roster. There's going to be 3 quarterbacks, and that's whatever. But no, they released him. And the fact they also brought in Hunter Deckers back onto the practice squad with Jake Hayner is like, it's kind of a weird situation right now where it's like, are they competing? Is it just one of them? Are they competing to be the third emergency quarterback? Like, it's just an odd situation. That was kind of why I was so confused by it.
I couldn't agree more. I would have, as you were saying, I would have gotten it if it was just Jake Hayner. I mean, I didn't expect them to release him at the start. But bringing back Deckers is just kind of, what are you doing? Like, yeah, as you're saying, I don't know quite what the plan is. I'm sure they have one. I'm sure there's a good written out plan, but yeah, I don't know.
I kind of just like, sorry, Kyle. I just kind of feel like the uncertainty with your 2 young quarterbacks right now. Obviously, those are going to be your 2 young guys no matter what this season. Either one, whichever one. One of those guys is going to be starting the games if healthy. But it's obvious Kellen Moore is very, very fond of Hunter Deckers. You've seen it. He's been brought back 3 times now already. They're both left-hand quarterbacks. So I feel like Hunter Deckers is a guy that Kellen Moore's kind of just bringing back to develop the way that he thinks that Hunter Deckers can be successful in this league because he sees himself in him. That's kind of the way I see Hunter Deckers. With Jake Hayner, I feel like the Saints feel like he's seen enough. He's seen a lot in 3 years. I will say he's seen more than most quarterbacks have in 3 years in the league, and they may view him as that veteran presence in the room. I know obviously we view him as a very mature player when it comes to the way he speaks to the media and stuff like that. But we don't really view him as that leader, as the guy who has a hold of his attention from his team, of the attention of his teammates. Maybe he does. Maybe this was a wake-up call, this release. And maybe this is where Jake Hayner finally accepts the fact that he could have a longer career in this league as a backup. And if he does, then I like the move of bringing Jake Hayner back. So I wouldn't stress too much about the fact that there are so many QBs in the roster. I would kind of just be shocked that Jake even came back in the first place, like Kyle said, because I feel like there would have been some animosity or maybe a better opportunity out there. But then again, 2 young quarterbacks, if one doesn't work, if one gets hurt, then you're right next in line. So I get it.
Yeah, and part of this is the kind of way that the Saints are going with roster building because it is unique. Like you said, 2 quarterbacks on the practice squad, 2 active roster quarterbacks, and then something that we were kind of talking over today because we're shocked about it. So my surprise cut is Trayton Welch. I think Trayton Welch was the best performing tight end over preseason. I think he's looked really good. We got the chance to interview him, and he's, great young player, sounds good when he talks very proper to the media and everything like that, and he performed well in the field. And for me, before we even started this podcast, right before some news broke out that the Saints also just released Jack Stoll. So the Saints currently have 2 active, non on the physically unable to perform list tight ends, and that's going to be Jawan Johnson and rookie Maliki Motaveo. I'll be honest, I still haven't learned how to say his name, so I'm gonna call him Mo. But they have Jawan Johnson and Mo. That's the 2 players that you have on the tight end room, and that's it. So now the Trayton Welch move looks even, crazier to me that you released and they did bring him back on the practice squad. Let me say that, but they let him go, risking losing him, and now Jack Stoll and Trayton Welch are both on the practice squad. They also let go of Michael Jacobson. So I'm not fully sure on what the move is going on with tight ends because, as we know, as Kellen Moore, this guy kind of likes using his tight ends, especially a guy like Jack Stoll who can block in the run game and things like that. So the Trayton Welch move is really, I would just say, confusing to me because I'm not understanding. I don't know if the Saints have a move that they're eyeing, if they have a plan for a player that they hope to go get out, if maybe they're just not satisfied with the tight ends that they have in. Because outside of Jawan Johnson, you have a 7th-round rookie.
Yeah, I mean, I don't like looking at the whole roster. Because there's no way, I believe there's no way they're going into week 1 with 2 tight ends on this roster. I think there's going to be moves. I don't know if it's calling up, let's say, Trayton Welch. I don't know if it's calling up Jack Stoll, who was just brought back onto the practice squad. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I don't think they're just going to go and move 2. So I think another move is made, but I would also not be surprised that they go into looking at like free agency for tight ends. I know they missed out on some of the people I wanted, Jelani Woods and Greg Dulcich, but there's other options. They could go into free agency. They have not been passive trying to find upgrades in the trade market, free agency. They almost traded for a punter. So anything could happen. But I just think that they're going to find answers. And I mean, Trayton Welch was definitely a surprise to me because I think the chemistry he grew with Tyler Shuck kind of right away, for Tyler Shuck to believe in him to make probably one of the best catches of preseason for the Saints. He showed great ability to catch the ball. He was blocking. I mean, he did everything the Saints wanted him to do, so I wasn't sure why he got cut. But the fact he's on the practice squad is great. I truly think he does get called up. And yeah.
I'm almost sure there's a certified plan that they have there. Nick Underhill tweeted out when they broke the news that he turned down other offers to come back to New Orleans. So obviously they communicated about it a lot, and they had a plan for him, which really makes me think that he's going to have a big role in the offense. He's going to be called up from the practice squad. And if there is an injury or something, I could see him making a big impact this year.
Yeah, and the thing with Trayton Welch is that's kind of a guy who, if you do waive, you're not too worried about getting picked up on waivers. So you feel more comfortable letting him clear waivers and then just bringing him back, kind of like you did with Rico Payton last year when you knew you could. This year, obviously, you couldn't because the secret was out. The cat was out the bag. Now, if Welch was, say, to have another game like that or a couple games like that, then maybe you have that worry. But when it comes to Jack Stoll, his release, obviously we know he's back on the practice squad, and we know Maliki Mataval did not have that great of a preseason. I feel like that was more of a tactical move there. Obviously, we know Jack Stoll is a veteran. He's been in the league for a while. He was released, not waived, so he was not subject to waivers. If the Saints did release Mataval, he would be subject to waivers, so that would mean there was a chance that they lost out on their 7th-round pick. So I feel like Drew said, there's a plan going on right now in the tight end room. Obviously, Foster Moreau will miss the first 4 games of the season, as will Taysom Hill. But those are 2 very, very prominent parts of the tight end room. And look, I will say, when they're back, I'm more confident than I am now in that position group. So I feel like it's not worth going out and, trading future assets. Obviously, if you can go get a depth piece for a tight end for maybe a late round pick, day 3 pick or something like that, then go ahead, go do it. But I don't think it's something that you need to go out and get a star tight end, go out and give up a depth piece for a star tight end or for another tight end. When you have 2 in the building that are perfect for your offense, you just need to be a little patient.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go back to because you said Trayton Welch is one that the Saints wouldn't have to worry about. But Welch turned down other offers. I think Drew said it a little bit earlier, and actually I didn't see that yet, so I pulled it up on my phone. I went to look, and Welch did turn down some other offers to come back to the Saints, which is very interesting to me. And then I have a quote here by Jeff Nowak from Kellamore. It says, they're all going to play, and that group includes Trayton Welch. So I think from seeing that like Drew said, there's got to be some type of plan for Trayton Welch to make his way back to the roster. I'm honestly just figuring all this out. This tweet came out 20 minutes ago. But so I guess so much he isn't a surprise cut anymore, and there was a plan put in place for him. And it seems that he will be coming along with the Saints forwards. But it is interesting that they chose, because between Mo and Trayton Welch, you have to pick one of them because they would be each be the ones subject to waivers, and they chose to go ahead and waive. Well, I'm blanking right now. To waive Welch, and I guess in fears that Mo wouldn't be able to come back, kind of like you were saying, Nick, where Stoll is somebody at least and automatically put him on the practice squad.
Yeah, and I think another player that we haven't really talked about, and I think me and Drew have the same player. So if you want to talk about it first, you can.
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
Okay. So Isaiah Foskey. No, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So yeah, the Saints moved on from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Tough move. It's just not surprising to me as some other people, but the running back room is just so crowded that it's tough to keep them. You have Kendra Miller, you have Alvin Kamara. 1, 2, no questions asked. But then you have Devin Neal, the 6th-round rookie, who's got a ton of potential. You just haven't seen much. You've got Velus Jones Jr., the hybrid running back, wide receiver who can make plays, special teams, offense, receiving game, multiple different ways. And Cam Akers, who was cut pretty quickly. But it was just a really tight room that it kind of feel like Edwards-Helaire just couldn't bring something. Each back has their own thing that they can bring, their own superpower, some would say. But it seemed like Clyde just couldn't bring his, and it couldn't stand out enough from the others. It was unfortunate, but had to be done. And now he's on the Chiefs, a reunion there.
Yeah, I was shocked just because, like, with how uncertain kind of Alvin Kamara has been a good pass blocker, but with Kendra Miller not being the best, I know Devin Neal might bring that, but like Clyde Edwards-Helaire blocking is very good. And he has shown passion for this team. He's shown devotion to this team. He's shown ability to make big plays. Like, he's shown everything you want him to. I know there might be higher potential with Velus Jones just because he brings that running back or wide receiver flexibility. But before the Saints picked up Trey Palmer, I was viewing more like, okay, you put Velus Jones as that wide receiver, and then you should just have 4 running backs there. And that's kind of where I was so confused by it, and I still think it's a missed opportunity letting him go. I love what Devin Neal did in the 3rd game. I love what Kendra Miller did throughout preseason, and Alvin Kamara is Alvin Kamara. So those are the 3. But I just think Clyde Edwards-Helaire would have just been such an important piece to any winning football. And that's kind of why I was so confused.
Yeah, and to me, it was Cam Akers being released that made me believe Clyde Edwards-Helaire was. I thought you would have one of the two, and then whichever one you chose. So, like, Cam Akers released, you would keep Clyde. I'm gonna let you guys go while my dogs bark real quick, actually.
No, I completely agree. It was just the emotion and the pass protection is really the 2 factors that I thought really gave him a roster spot, especially due to the fact that he has that Super Bowl experience. He's been in the league for quite a while now. He knows the culture of the city, obviously being a former Tiger. It all made sense for him to stay in New Orleans, and it really shocked me. Obviously, we know how much burst Velus Jones has. He's probably got top 3 burst on the offense when it comes to a playmaking standpoint. I said this a bit earlier today, but if your burst is coming from your 3rd string running back, if some of your top burst from your offense is coming from your 3rd string running back, I don't know if you can really complain about that, because look, as much as we love Clyde, he just didn't have that speed. He didn't have that playmaking ability that we once saw from him in college. It would have been a move that I would have liked to see him come back on the practice squad, but I can't be mad that the Saints are looking for juice after that's what we complained about the past couple of seasons. And look, at the same time, Velus Jones is not a bad football player. Velus Jones was a former wide receiver. He played running back. To be able to play two positions in the NFL, you have to be quite a damn athlete. So I'm all for it. I like the Saints running back room. To me, this gives a bigger opportunity to Devin Neal because obviously if Clyde was in the room, you would have assumed that Clyde would have been ahead of Devin Neal in the rotation and all of that. Right now, Devin Neal is the third most pure running back on the football team. So I would assume he gets the nod. So that's the way I kind of look at the transaction.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was heading towards saying about Devin Neal is releasing me feels like it's more of a Devin Neal move than it is a quiet Velus Jones move. I'm sorry. Because Velus Jones and we're like, but he and Clyde are a different type of running backs, and if you're trying to keep like one of each mold or try to get like that, Velus Jones is a gadget player who he can return kicks for you, he can do that receiving game, and he has a lot of burst. But to me, this was more that Devin Neal was able to impress in the one preseason game. And Kellen Moore has talked about him, and he said he wasn't perfect. No player is perfect, but he did like what he saw out of him. And I think that preseason game might have been what drove the Saints to go ahead and let Edwards-Helaire walk and keep Neal, which is, I know Drew would love to get more about Devin Neal. We might not have enough time for that. But that's just simply how I see it. Is Clyde Edwards-Helaire, it was a Devin Neal move, but it was still surprising to me. And again, somebody that I would have hoped to bring to the practice squad.
I will say a little bit about Devin Neal because, I mean, I've got to. But he is a great pass blocker. His technique is very sound in it. So he can replace some of Clyde Edwards-Helaire production in that. And also, if they are going to play Devin Neal as primarily that third down pass catching role when Kamara's out, he can do that. And he's more than just a blocker. And it's collegiate 77 receptions for 711 yards and 4 touchdowns. He's great in the screen game. He can run. He's not the best route runner, but he can still run a good angle, run a good wheel route, and he can kind of do what Clyde would have done there. So I think, as Kyle said it kind of perfectly, it's not the move. It's about Devin Neal, just being Devin Neal.
All right. And Caleb, did you named a player, right? Did we all go?
We
ahead?
both did, Clyde.
Okay, you both did. All right, cool. Because we are running a little low on time. So we're just kind of go to our next thing, which is, so now we know our first initial 53-man roster. We know what the Saints will, for the most part, look like going into 2025. So with that being said, what are your guys' final predictions? With Spencer Rattler starting at quarterback for at least week 1, we don't know about further after that. What's your prediction for the Saints?
Look, I'll be honest. We all know. I'll be honest. I had the Saints going 6-11 a couple weeks ago when we made our first record predictions. I just don't know if what I saw in the preseason gave me enough confidence in the depth that the Saints have at a number of positions. Obviously, there's a lot of young talent that makes you confident in a bunch of positions. But when it comes to being able to compete with the best of the best on a Sunday, I don't think the Saints have. I don't think they have the depth. And look, injuries happen. We know the Saints have had injury issues for years and years. And I don't think injuries just disappear. Obviously, they've looked better with Ted Rath in charge. But I do think that injuries will happen. Obviously, they will. And I don't think they have the depth. So with that being said, I have the Saints down to a 4-win team. It's tough to say, obviously, but that's kind of where I see them heading. I've mentioned it before. I don't see wins and losses being the deciding factor in this being a successful season. I look more towards player development and promising signs from young talent. Those are kind of the areas that I'm looking towards more because obviously we all know that the Saints aren't going to be a good football team this year. And if they are, we know they're not going to be a contender. So there's no need to overreact. Just watch. If we're watching these positions to see if we have to address them in next year's draft. If they don't, then we address them in next year's draft and we run it back again next year. It's not a big deal. This is really just a developmental year.
Yeah, and I think my previous prediction was 8 wins, and I actually feel better about the defense after that prediction. Like, that was my main worry. I feel a lot better about the defense, but the offense, I am very scared. I don't know. I can't. I'm not going to trust the health of this wide receiver room yet. I need to be proven that that's a thing, that they're healthy. I'm not going to trust this offensive line. I can't trust the tight end room, and I can't trust the quarterback. There's just a lot of questions here. I think they're gonna. I am 1 win down. I think they're gonna be 7-10. I think they're gonna lose an extra game at the beginning with Spencer Rattler playing. I had them beating the Seahawks originally, but I don't think they're gonna beat the Seahawks. I think it's gonna be Cardinals, Giants, and then Bucks twice, Panthers twice, and Falcons. And one of those Bucks games could easily be a loss, and it could easily go to 6-11. Like I feel less comfortable about this offense way more than I feel and more comfortable about the defense, if that makes sense. And offense wins games. It's hard for defense to truly stay strong and win games. And I don't think the Saints are going to have the offense this season.
I'm not going to go on for long because, Nick, you said it absolutely perfectly. Same record prediction here. I'm going 4-13. This year is not defined by wins and losses. I couldn't stress that more. It's really on how the development is, if the Saints get our young players on enough, and how the health remains for me. Those are the 3 things I'm looking for. I could care less if we go 8-9 or if we go 4-13. I don't really care. I just want to see them develop.
Yeah, I'm a little different. I'm going 5-12. That was my record prediction I've written down right here. I agree about the defense. Looks maybe a little faster. The starting defense looks fast against Denver, and they look good. I don't know how much they would actually be able to hold it. The Saints are favored in 1 game this year, and that's against the Jets at home. So they're going to be underdogs for 16 weeks out of this season. It's hard to see this team winning a lot. This is going to be it's an offensive-minded head coach, but your talent isn't fully there, at least developed yet on offense. And for your defense, you don't really know what you have. It's a brand new scheme change with a personnel that a lot of those guys have not played in that scheme. So it's a lot of things that are just unknowns, and it's hard to say this team goes better than 5-12 to get more wins than that. But I do think they get themselves in a lot of one-score games. I think at the end of this year, we'll look and be like, this team could have had 8 wins. And, the difference between 5 and 8 wins is 3 games, which, yeah, a lot, but not a lot when you look at these one-score games. And that's what I want to see. So I don't care what the record is. I just want to see how close can you keep these games and how, like Nick said, how do these guys develop throughout the year?
Yeah, I think the majority of these wins come later in the season when my prediction is when Tyler Shuck comes in, because I think it's going to be, hey, the defense is holding their own, and Tyler Shuck's going to be able to lead them to more touchdowns, while Spencer Rattler might lead them to more field goals. And it's those close games, but they're just not getting over the winning point, and they just won't win those games. And that's kind of why I have more wins later in the season. I think they finish strong, but just struggle at the beginning, because also Kellen Moore takes a while to get his offense going. So it's going to be a learning curve.
Yeah, but with that being said, that was this week's episode. We will return back. Oh, I think it's just going to be 1 episode next week as well. Yeah, so next week we're going to go back to 1 episode because there's no game recap. So we'll come back on Thursday or Friday next week to preview the Saints versus Cardinals season opener. And that's it for this one. See ya.